Yeah, hello and welcome to episode number 5 of my ongoing mod creating series on YouTube, tutorial series. My name is CrEaToXx and I'm a mod creator on the Nexus. And as I announced the last video, I was supposed to be doing a tutorial video on how to create your ini. But since this is just another part of code creation, which I already covered more or less in episode 4, I'm just going to swiftly go over it, and then we're doing a conclusion on what you can do with the UI code, or at least the things that I've found out newly that you can do. And then we're going to move on another very interesting topic, specifically a batch file creation and using console hotkeys. So let's start. Config ini. So, and I believe I mentioned that in the last video already. What you want to do is creating a ini file where you actually have your ini variables displayed, okay? And as always, I would post this code so that you can download it, and you would need a loader for the ini, which is actually loading the ini file and converts the data inside the ini file to be readable by ActionScript. So because of course a ini standard data is not the same as ActionScript, and then you have to put it in your specific UI file, as you can see here on player inventory update. There you can see all my ini variables that I'm referencing, encumbrance, credit level, and stuff like that. I'm going to go into it in detail in about some seconds. But first, the most important stuff that you want to do is finding, I'd name it a hook. It's probably not the correct terminology used here, but a hook is finding a file inside the UI that will produce a stable result in hooking into the game UI to allow importing your ini settings. And that's actually true for anything that you do in the UI script-wise. You always need to find a hook. You probably can neglect that information if you have a creativity suite or Flex SDK or whatever you have at your proposal. You can probably ignore that, because then you will have access to proper source and you don't need to do that. And I have it, but as I already mentioned in past videos, I just can't be bothered to install and set it up again, because it's a repeater doing that. So I'm staying with JPEGs because it's still a valid and very decent tool, and you can do a whole lot of stuff. And everything else you cannot do, I'm just using postponing to later stages of the game when an official creation kit is available, because one of the main reasons for this is that Bethesda currently is still in the process to update the game weekly, monthly, whatever. So on every new update, you have to completely redo any of the UI elements. Not like in the CK that you can just patch it. No, you have to redo anything, and it's a whole lot of work, of course, and that's what I can't be bothered to do right now. So, however, as you can see, you're creating your ini in this format. You have sections, and then you have the variables inside. You have a B, a bool, strings, and floats, okay? And then you have your color values, like you would get them from a proper color picker website. I'm using this one here, W3 Schools, standard HTML color picker. And of course, I also get my information on how to script with ActionScript on the official Adobe info base for Flash. And that's the way, I'm going to upload anything of that so that you know exactly what you're doing. That's just ini, how you set it up. Keep that format, okay? That's the format that you want to use. Then you have your hook, which imports all the ini settings, and you have to fiddle around with it. That's the actual key point here, that you have to fiddle. You know how I already mentioned that fiddling around, that's a professional terminology, and you have to, because not all the ways you are trying to hook into a file will always work the same, because you also need to pay attention if it's a button bar or a movie file, and every extension will need another a different method of you trying to hook in the file. And how do you get to understand how to do that? Well, you have to look at the original files, and you get a good portion of information on that, seeing how component files are used, because component files are basically just imports from other UI portions or other UI files of the game, and there you can review what you need to do in order to properly hook in or import or whatever you are doing. Okay, and then you just set up your inify with those functions here, those 3 functions. This is just the class function, the standard class function. That's the function that will tell the main modded file that it should start the instance of the ini, and this is just a data application, as it already says. When you import it, that it will apply that, but the whole background logic forwarding, item processing is happening in the loader, and you need to pay attention what to import and what to reference and how to correctly reference, and most of the time JPEGs will do that for you without your need to import anything. Once you address a function, it will usually import the correct, will usually do the correct imports for you. So, and if you've done all of that, you're going to, and I think I addressed that already in another video, but I'm not sure. You will need to subscribe to all those data managers, okay? So, player inventory data, player data, stuff like that. Where do you find it? As always, let me show you. You're going to find it in those particular files, and I'm taking inventory menu as example. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Inventory menu as example. So the original inventory menu UI file. And then you go to the inventory menu, and there you have an example. See? What you can subscribe to. And subscribe basically just means that you are pulling in-game the information from that particular event data. And this event data is handled in the exe. Okay, that's how the game is communicating with UI files, and then picks up the UI file information and transport it to PapyrusScript variables or whatever, or creation kit variables. And that's what you need to do in order to get the info from other instances of UI or the actual game. Okay, so you have to review all of the interface files, UI files, to find those subscriptions here, and then you will get an idea what you can do and what you not can do. For example, we can make one thing that I tried to figure, where was it again? Power menu. Just wanted to show that off here so that you can see it. I go to the powers menu, and then you are doing a swift search for quantum, ignore case, and need to browse a little. See? I just want to show off how you actually browse through the original files to get a piece of information. And there you can already see that's a global function that I'm going to make use of as well. And it basically sets the text of one of your UI elements that has text. And there you can see the parameter 1 data s quantum essence description. That's the number of quantum, I can't even remember our number, quantum essences shown in your power menu in the lower left corner, okay? So this combines the text and the number of it, and that's just an example of what you can do to extract information from all those various sources that you are having in the UI file. And this is what is done here. I subscribe to particular events, inventory data, standard player data, local environment data, and frequent. And if you do not subscribe to it, you cannot catch, you cannot fetch this information. And then you, that's actually the custom name of the function that you provided here. See, if you say player inventory data, and then you say on player inventory data on player, then you have your corresponding function down here, okay? And param1, you've already did that from, read that from client data event. And that's the information that is sent to the exe file or the native code or whatever you want to name it, that we require client data information. I'd name it like that, okay? And then you can see you declare your variable, and how to do that. As I said before, you always need to browse the files to get an idea how you create integers, floats, booleans, whatever comes to mind. And yeah, this is the way. Then you have the parameter, which I already addressed. Data is the actual data, and then the specific, the actual data, how should I say? So that would be the variable. The data is the information on the player. Let's take the player as example here, and that you are addressing in the native code. And then this is the specific variable. Encumbrance, max encumbrance. Param1 data you coin. This is the credits that you are having in inventory. Because it's not an item, you don't need a specific ID. Then you have, and so you can address it easily in UI code. See, and that's all the variables that I'm having here, and this is where I'm defining my color. And then you can see how I actually address my ini file, config ini, encumbrance. This is what I already said, the section, okay? And then the actual variable, senc text color max. And you have the same here, senc text color max. There you have it, okay? This is put in here. And basically what it does is, we have a case switch, and on case 1, and this is handled in my color transform here, there you have the cases, you see? Case 1 is if my carry weight, if the stuff that I have in my inventory, defined by current weight, is at 80% of the maximum weight that I can carry, please return 1, return 2, return 3, okay? And it's sent to this location, and when it says 1, 2, 3, the color will change by that. And before I made an ini, you would just put in here the color variable, and now I just put in the ini variable. In that case it is white, okay? And then it will send it to this location. This is where the ini variable is called, and this is where it is processed, I'd say. And with that function you apply it. That's all that's happening in the background. So, and you can virtually address anything like that. Doesn't matter if you create new stuff or if you try to modify existing stuff. The real, like we say in German, Knackpunkt, the real key point is how to hook in the file, because everything is dependent on that fact. Because I give you a negative example here. I'm trying, like, I don't know, at least 4 weeks now, trying to hook into the hot message menu, because I want to configure a particular element of it and want to expose its data to an ini file. And I just can't everything is perfectly working, I just can't hook into any of the scripts. It just doesn't allow me for. I don't know why, I haven't figured out right. Probably obviously because I'm doing it wrong, but I don't know how to make it right. Okay, and that's the part where you have to fiddle. So I would try to hook into the not actual message menu, because that's one of the few examples that you cannot edit with JPEGs without breaking the script. So I already tried that and would just use a different place, but I can't manage to hook in there. And that's what I want to say is the key point in UI modding in general. If you want to add your own custom content, you need to find a proper class where you can hook in and apply all the code that you want to import. As long as this doesn't work, you don't even need to continue, okay? So, however, that's about creating the ini, about the things that you can do, which information you can import. For example, there's one last thing that I could address, or I think I don't even need to do that I could mention as an example. Some of those UI files have meters, and some of those UI files will have the meter function imported so that you can make use of it, and some files have not. And for those that have not, you probably, for example, would want to recreate the whole meter logic in that file, or you address an external file, an already existing file, and just import it as component. But I have to be honest, I haven't done that yet, because it's also very time consuming. But once you've figured out how to do it, you know it forever, and that's about it. So, however, that concludes the UI series, because I don't know what else I should teach you without going into detail of coding and doing stuff. I'm going to upload all my files as resources so that you can easily implement them. But I would love to see you doing your own UI stuff and then share it on the Nexus, because every minute of work and effort that you can spare for other people is progress. You know, you don't need, someone else doesn't need to redo the whole work again. So, however, that concludes the UI, and now for the next topic, I'm going to do a short break, and then we're going to move on. I'll be around. Yeah, and here we are back again. And the next topic is about console and console modding, and specifically hotkey, console hotkey modding, I'd say. And just want to quickly show off what you can do with the console. For example, you could say TGM, which is short for toggle guard mode, and you don't suffer
No problem.
from damage anymore if you.
Hey, I've been Thank you.
Okay, that's
I'll have everything
that's
set
not
up.
what I wanted to show off. Doesn't matter. And if you say TCL, which is short for toggle collision, you can use this to see you're phasing through a model through the world, and you can get outside of the worlds and cells, and you can take a look at the cells, how they are built, stuff like that, you know. But that's basic knowledge, I'd say. Even if you're not a mod creator, those are things, and I just wanted to show that off as an example. So let's hope that he's still recording here, because if not, I have to redo that whole portion here. Or, yeah, I'm quickly going to stop and then return. Yeah, going quicker as you would think it does, right? So, console hotkey modding. It's a thing happening on the Nexus right now, much more intense than it was in any other Bethesda game before. At least that's my, that's what I realize here. I don't know if that's true, but for me personally, console modding never was a topic, because I simply was, the only reason why I was using console is to verify bugs or to test bugs. And so I was never aware that you can actually build complete script, or let's say script snippets in the console, and let alone using them as macros. And I wasn't even aware that Fallout 4 already had console hotkeys. I didn't know that. And however, it came to me in Starfield, and as you can see, this is my hotkeys ini. That's just what I want to point out here. Go and download this mod here, install it per instructions. Starfield hotkeys by Registrator. He basically did the same for Fallout 4. And what this does is enabling you to use console variables or console scripts, I'd say, even though those are not scripts per se. There are script snippets to allow you to use those script snippets as if you would use a real mod. And it's a real easy thing to do. And you also want to browse the comments and the articles, because you would get some additional very valid information and a good amount of hotkey input, new hotkeys and stuff like that. And if you go to the requirements, you also will find some mods that make use of his mod, okay? Or you just browse for hotkey on the Nexus, there you will probably hotkey doesn't exist, but hotkey, then you will find plenty of those console hotkeys, I'd say, including one of my own, which is nail 'em to the wall. I usually wouldn't just upload a ini mod, but that was the one particular that I did, because I know in future when the creation kit gets released, I'm going to update that with a real plugin. And it's probably also going to be part of Clean Up Your Corpses for Starfield. So, yeah, as you can see, let me show off what I did, and as always I'm going to upload this ini file so for you to use. And as you can see, that's all I do with hotkeys. I have 4 stages of jet booster. I can modify any settings on the fly. I'm using SKK storage mods, quick photo menu, crew menu, the toggle collision, the guard mode is probably somewhere down here. All sorts of stuff. And this is basically selecting an actor and then applying a visual effect. And this is unselecting. Make sure that the console is cleaned. GIF menu, when you have a actor targeted, will open his container so that you can give them stuff and press them. More SKK stuff. Take off and on your helm, your spacesuit, push an actor, warp an actor, heal item. I actually did that here to save me 1 slot or even 2 slots of the vanilla hotkeys, the favorite menu hotkeys. you can freeze an actor, though I don't realize right now. Oh yeah, that's what I'm using in my nail mod. So get selected ref toggle AI. It makes it so that actors will freeze in place, and then it mimics the behavior of having them nailed to a wall, for example, if you drag them to a wall before. And then that's a thing that I'm experimenting with 3 different modes of the scanner. So as you can see, I have those files in the Starfield hotkeys folder, and the hotkey mod will create this folder for you, and this is where I'm having my my batch files for those 3 scan modes, and basically what they do is creating different modes for the scanner. And right now the only thing that I'm testing is the thickness of the outer lines of the scanner of objects that you are scanning. So on here you can see those are macros, so script macros. And then here I would call those macros, but there are also instant hotkeys that do not use the macros, as you can see, toggle menu or toggle fly cam, toggle collision, because I'm using the toggle collision together with a notification on the screen. Then it's better to build a macro. QQQ is quick exit the game. Then I'm having F1. Where is it? F1? No, it's F9, autosave, because I refuse to use the quick save, the standard quick save. I'm using autosave because it's basically the same as hard saving or quick saving, only that you have 3 slots available for it, because the quick save only will give you 1 slot, but the autosave in that regard, at least for me personally, is the safer thing to do, because you will get 3 slots and it will always make use of a new slot so that you do not overwrite the already existing slots. And I would usually use the autosave to go forward in the game for, let's say, an hour or half an hour, and then autosaving every 10 minutes, and then after half an hour I would do a hard save. Yeah, the helm toggle. Player equipment is equipping the fist, because there is no dedicated function in the game to unequip your weapons, so basically that's what it does. And that's also a thing I did for myself for convenience, for quality of life reasons. This is the ID of all crew members or companions. This will open their container, and I'm not using this to cheat, but so that I don't have to travel through whole of the galaxy if I want to re-equip them with something, And if you now say something like, "Man, that's a cheat," no, it isn't. It technically, of course, is a cheat, but I would only do that once I have access to a proper amount of crew members and ships and whatnot, and transport logistics like I have, because in my game I have 4 or 5 settlements and I have so many transport vehicles at my disposal. One of them is probably capable of transporting my stuff to those followers. So there you have your immersion portion of how I make this shit up. But for me personally, it's not cheating, and that's what you can do with console hotkeys. And as I said, I'm going to upload this file so you can use it, and probably, or not probably, very much likely, I'm going to upload a new mod named The Return of the Arrow Keys, because I already made this for Fallout 4. Arrow Keys. See? So basically what it does is giving left-handed and or arrow key users better access to the game. And I will also provide a ini file for the controller companion and various other stuff with it, so that users can that are in the same situation like me, that because I'm left-handed and I'm using the arrow keys, and it will make life more easy for that portion of the user base. So, however, that's about it. That's episode 5. I know some of you will say now, yeah, okay, there's not a lot of information, but if you listen, there actually is, and that's sums basically everything up I know up. I gathered on news and knowledge in the mod creation scene, and the very latest news has it that Xedit got a first alpha release, very experimental. I personally not going to use it, because I have some experience in the past with TestSnip and Fallout 4, and it's not a thing I'm cool with doing. I'm using some ESMs that are basically just changing some of the game settings, so I know this is okay. But I'm not going to use ESM-based mods yet that are majorly going to change the game. Because even the people providing those mods say because you need to use the plugin installer mod for it. Plugins, text, mod. Yeah, so you would need to use that. And even the guy who created it says specifically Starfield as a warning, and I agree with him. Starfield does not officially support loading ESP, ESL, and some plugin files as of yet, I'd say. Files created outside of Bethesda's internal may be broken in subtle ways. This patch is for people who want to live on the bleeding edge, okay? That's the very remarkable thing for me. You really got to know your way around modding the game if you know what you're going to get into, or let's say potentially get into, if you are using mods that make use of that, okay? And for me personally, that means I would just download a mod, then test it extensively, like a whole weekend, for example, and back up the save games. And in 50% of all cases, especially if those mods had scripts inside, it would break my game. So that's my experience. You know, of course, there are probably people that disagree and made other experiments, but that's my experience. And there always was a particular coincidence, and I can show you that right off, because I'm using ESM-based mods, and as you can see, they only have the ESM. Okay? They only have the ESM. And then I have the SKK mods, and it only provides global scripts. So, but the moment that I was downloading and using a mod that combined those two elements, it broke my game. That's just the experience that I made, and I'm not going to use it in that current state, and I don't recommend using it. But if you are the one that knows what he does and wants to live on the bleeding edge, go for it. It's probably going to improve your game experience. So, however, the last thing that I want to mention, our next episode 6, is starting to delve into texture creation, and in particular, what I'm going to show you in those videos is, as you can see, this is Verdant Wasteland for Fallout 4. This is my green mod that turns Fallout 4 into a green landscape, or adds green landscape, I'd say, and bushes and trees and whatnot. And what I want to show off in the texture tutorial is how to create such a bush. And I'm not taking any resource from the internet. I will actually show you how to do that from taking your smartphone, go out in the real world, make a photo of a rose bush. In that case, it's a rose bush, which is standing right in my garden. And then how to clean the photo from all the stuff that you don't want to have in the texture, and then make a texture of it. I'm going to show you the whole process, exporting the texture, then putting it into the game, and creating new textures that way. So, however, up until then, and that's probably going to take some time again because we do not have access to official tools, but until then, I hope you stay tuned. Here you can see my latest project, the Starfield map helper. Come on, let's shamelessly show that one off. It's basically HTML based mod, I'd say, that will give you a system map, as you can see, and if you double click, you will give you a star map, and if you double click, you will get this. Okay, so I already have a majorly improved version, but it is on my working laptop, and the working laptop is on my job. And today I'm not on my job, but my wife is, so it's only coming back at 12 around CET today. So it's majorly improved. It has all the Starfield aesthetics and labels, and looks much closer to how Starfield UI looks. And there's a couple of new FX elements, like I would use textures for the planets, and this what you can see here is the soul system, where I use actual real time to define the speed, how those planets are. So long story short, that's my new project here, HTML based map helper. However, see, that's the GitHub page of it. And however, until episode 6, I hope you stay tuned, you guys. Until then, I'm out. Goodbye.